Thank you so much for joining us once again here on the Coach's Corner for day 26. Day 26. And we trust that you have shared our program with a friend. We trust that you have allowed this program to enhance your personal life and that you are growing from this program. We see that the engineer is struggling, so we're just going to go right on. Got some interest to SIP radio. Let's say the broadcasting. Listen to SIP radio. Okay. All right, let's try this again. That's our radio station bleeding through. Someone forgot to. Oh, Lord. Okay. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us once again for another edition of the Coach's Corner. And we trust that everything in your life is going according to plan. Welcome to day 26. As I said earlier, with the For More for Life campaign. And today we're going to continue to talk about the Robo Auto Life Generated Ads that we are disseminating every day. We deeply apologize for the engineering challenges that we've had here on the program and appreciate your patience all the more. Let's get right to it. We're talking about the For More for Life campaign. By all means, we understand and realize and accept that we all have to grow inside. We all have some issues. But as we have been discussing about the auto-generated life ads that we disseminate from our being, we realize and accept that there is a advertising campaign going on that we may or may not be aware of. I was just making a comment to a friend. So many people who run into negativity, they automatically consider that, so many people that run into problems and issues with people automatically consider that it is something that they should walk away from. Something that they should walk away from and not be contentious. But contentiousness is good. Conflict is good. A lot of people don't realize that. They see it as, oh, this is, I don't want to stand for this negative vibe, you know, and perhaps that may be true in some cases, but there are other cases where the authenticity of the person or the group that you may be a part of is real through and through, and disagreement or two or three may arise, and we scrap entire relationships all because we do not possess a solid foundation of conflict resolution skills. You know, we don't know how to handle disagreements, and so we throw relationships away. Well, another thing is we have advertised without perhaps knowing it, that I am only going to engage in relationships that please me on the peripheral. Anything that disturbs or stirs up things inside of me that reminds me of the past, I'm going to dump it, you see. And so we're advertising all kinds of things on a regular daily basis. The question is, do we realize what we're advertising? And I'm not suggesting to you that we will always know, but we can try to ensure that the data that we're sending to the dark room, or the subconscious mind, if you will, is data that we can live with. Now, when talking about the auto-generated ads that we are disseminating from our lives, I gave you a few examples on last session, but let me give you a couple of more examples. Auto-generated lifestyle ads means that there are things that you are advertising without trying to. There are things that you are advertising without a lot of effort. Matter of fact, the entire robot process may be involuntary. The robo ads are involuntary. They're going out, they're emanating from you without you saying, I'm going to share this, or I'm going to do this. It's involuntary. That's why it's called the dark room. Your subconscious mind has developed prints that now hang dry in the dark room of your subconscious and finalized. Those prints become finalized imaginations or finalized thought patterns, by which becomes are magnetic in nature. And so when you consider your life and the end results that you are getting, including myself, we have to say whatever I'm attracting to me is because it's emanating from the core of me. The core of you is not the intention of your consciousness. The core of you is the subconscious, or what I call the dark room. The dark room. Nothing to be spooky about that. That's just dark room, meaning that the film of your life is sensitive to the exposure of light or people or situations. So we're so sophisticatedly made that we have a processing center beyond what the eyes can see. That's like what one particular principle says: the heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? Who can know the contents of the heart? Another scripture says that those who study the Word of God, the Word tries the intent of the heart. And then he talks about separating soul and spirit and so forth and so on. You see, so this shows us that there is a deeper part of us. But I wanted to give a couple of examples, as I said, about the auto robot, or the auto robocall, the robo life ads, the robo life ads. For example, I used the example on last session about hatred and unforgiveness. If I decide that I'm not going to walk by any spiritual principle whatsoever, and I'm strictly going to walk by my reasoning and my intellect, then that puts me in default, because life, the center of life, are beyond the senses. The center of life is beyond the senses. It's hard for us all to grab that on a daily basis, but the center of life is beyond the senses. In other words, true living is that which you can't see, taste, hear, feel. Those who are caught up in the central aspect of life cannot quite center themselves, if you will. All right. So if I'm walking in unforgiveness, if I'm walking in hatred because someone legitimately, did something against me, or whatever the case may be, then I have put myself on default, if you will, and I am not on purpose controlling the outcome of the prints that I want to send to the dark room. I have now, when you're on default, that means now I am subject to the cause and the effect of my actions. I'm subject. When you walk by spiritual principles, then you're subject to the outcome of that spiritual principle. Given, it shall be given. Knocking, the door shall be open. It gives you more of an end result of the principle while announcing the principle. But if I'm on default, then I'm on default. If I'm on default, then I'm more of in a cause and an effect. It's just a matter of time before my intellect and my reasoning run into another roadblock. You see, another way to look at the Robo life ads, we used also the other example of love. You know, we say we want love, but have we defined love? What does love mean to me? And after I determine what love means to me, then is the definition of love and what it means to me aligned with the true definitions of what love really is. There's the truth that I admit, and then there's the truth that I discover. The truth that I admit is how it affects and deals with me, but then I must align it now with the principle of love. And the principle of love, as we shared, is the sacrificial. Now, sacrificial doesn't mean martyrdom. You see, you know, you hear in a domestic violence case, we hear that the woman will say, or the man will say, well, it was an accident. And when asked, do you want to press charges, they say, well, no, I really love him, which may be true, but the love now has become or is unhealthy, because true love, when you align with what love means to you with the true definition of love, the giving is sacrificial, but healthy enough to sacrifice again, or the sacrifice is a connotation of more power on reserve, if you will, not martyrdom, if you will. Okay. So are we sending ads about our lives involuntarily? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are. We are magnetically composed. We are magnetically composed, in my opinion. In other words, we breed seed after our own kind. Doesn't mean every seed is exactly like you, but seeds that are attracted to you in the form of people, relationships, and opportunities and things of this matter are based and sync with what you believe and what you accept and what you understand and your purpose and your destiny and so forth and so on. So are we sending out auto or robo life ads? Yes. How do we know they are robo life ads? They are auto generated. They are all auto generated. In the psychological world, there's a word that I'd like to bring to your attention that may help you in the future. As you move forward in the effort to change, you're going to find you're going to always run into trigger words, trigger situation, trigger like, you know, having your finger on the trigger, trigger words, trigger situations that will regurgitate the prints that are already finalized. And you and I, as humans, we always have the option of objectivity and evaluation and reflection. And it takes a very mature person to sit and say, okay, I don't like what I'm seeing here. And generally, we say that about others, but we need to say that more often than not about ourselves. I don't like what I'm feeling here. What is going on with me? You see. And so as we move forward in that change, those triggers determine whether we change the prints in the dark room, in the subconscious, or we will allow them to be the same. Now, using myself as an example, there were many triggers. Anger had been a trigger for me in my past. Anger is not a bad thing. It was what I was getting angry about that was the trigger. I was angry about, as a child, people not believing me when I told them someone abused me or someone took advantage of me or someone lied on me. My anger was deep-seated as a child out of the missing protective blanket, if you will, because children want to be protected. So if they come to you and tell you something happened, and they're not in a highly dramatized lifestyle, then chances are you should listen to them, and more often than not, you should believe them, so they can feel and be more secure in the protection of parental authority or authority in general. So my anger was really centered in my development of knowing that I could trust my parents and those in authority over me. And then later on, the anger maturated more toward the rejection that I felt from not being believed. And then the consequences that I had to endure from not being believed. And within the consequence, the circle thereof of the consequences, I'm sitting there feeling abandoned and rejected. And so to compensate for the anger, without any resolve in many cases, but also with a lot of therapy, but without any resolve, you send those prints to your dark room, to your subconscious mind, and you're going to disseminate or have an auto response subconsciously of other things that will be problematic for you or for myself going forward, such as a clouded perception. A clouded perception can be a direct result of embedded anger. Embedded anger causes us to have clouded perceptions, and thereby puts our response or puts our dark room automated messages of response, puts it out there as X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. A clouded perception can be a messed up thing, because and all you're getting, one scripture says, get understanding. Well, you can't get understanding if your perception is clouded. See, and deep-seated anger clouds. This is like with a man hitting a woman. Why in the world would a man think to hit a woman? Because the perception has been clouded, because anger now is the ruling emotion. Intellect, reasoning, and emotion, the senses, again, are ruling the day. Spiritual principle has not been inaugurated or introduced or anything. And so the auto-generated response or the advertisement, and then the guy also attracts, I know this is going to sound weird for some of you, but the guy attracts women who will succumb to his emotional framework. See, it doesn't, both are victims. One is a perpetrator and a victim, of course, but both are still yet victims of their dark rooms, because the refusal to investigate, to initiate a cultivating mindset regarding yourself and your development, to admit when you have issues and to admit something is wrong here. This is not the norm. This is not a great response. This is bringing harm. This is dangerous. These types of analytical analyzing of the tactics and strategies of our living are not widely used. Most of us live life, as my partner and I always say, we live life on default. It is what it is, and I'm gonna smoke a joint to get rid of this pain, or I'm gonna drink, or I'm gonna cuss her out, give her a piece of my, we hide the pain, which is another trigger for auto life ads. Denial is another way to put ads about who you are and what you are on autopilot. While you're busy putting up a big defense, you can never receive new information. And so you have it's amazing how deceived we are personally. We are pretty much, we walk in a lot of deception. We walk, and I can say that because in my prayer time, they had a scripture that says, David says, well, Lord, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit. David knew he was messed up. And see, it takes a mature person to say, man, I messed up, man. I'm talking about in your private meditations, and then you realize, okay, I need divine intervention, and also I need personal integrity in my admittance of what is revealed to me as my issues and my challenges going forward. See, and so my hope is that when you look at, and the best way to find out whether or not the auto-generated life ad is disturbing is to look at the end result. Now, every end result is not a great indicator, but it's part of the process. If you look at the end result of your life, for instance, my parents have been married 50 plus years, and the end result of that longevity in relationship is the ad that they have constantly renewed, if you will, through meditation, through dedication, through a lot of hard work. They've cultivated this relationship, and they have sent out the signals without trying to, but they did the work beforehand. And this was something that my dad, when he talked to me, he said, son, I decided at 8 years old that I was going to do this. So imagine the prince that was in his mind, but bar the mistakes, bar the methods that we use for things, that we all are growing. But imagine at that age to send those kind of prints to your mind so that you could set yourself up for a long-term relationship. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's complimentary, if you will. You see, so you and I, in order to judge whether or not some of the auto or robo life ads are to our liking, is to look at the outcome, look at the end result. If you don't like something, they say change it. But how do you change it? You change it from within. And I want to say this to encourage you: if you change you to the degree that you become so integral inside, you realize, as David and others in the Bible and others even in life admitted their vulnerability and admitted their frailness. See, that's where you're getting some growth right there. When you admit how frail you are, not talking about the other person, but how frail you are and how vulnerable you are and how weak you would be without the intention of God and the intention of the divine intervention. You'd be nothing. I mean, but just by virtue of your makeup as a human being, you are impacted with power. See, you're impacted with ability. See, and you couple that with a divine source. And as Christians would say, if you couple that with the divine source, then you now have a leg up on how to increase the outcome, not just so that it benefits you, because a lot of times the outcomes we want them to benefit us, but man, what about the little ones? What about the little ones? What about the little ones who are taking in new prints as they look at us? They're looking at mom and dad, whether together or not, whether married or not. They're taking in new prints, and we're saying this is the way life is. It's just so the dysfunction runs so deep in our society. Hence why we need divine intervention. But my point today is that we disseminate from our being auto ads, robo ads. Why am I attracting this situation? It could be several things. It could be that there's something you desire to learn. You are hungry. That's another thing I want to mention. If you're hungry to learn something and a negative result or situation comes up, that's a perfect time for you to practice the wisdoms and the knowledge. A lot of times when people see something negative, they immediately, go into this defense mode and begin to dismiss individuals and dismiss this and begin to dictate things that are not even related. And a lot of times when you're just ready to grow, problems will arise to challenge you to grow where you say you wanted to grow, or to some level where you want to grow. It's just a opportunity for you to practice growing. It has nothing to do with, you know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with all that other stuff, but it's just like with technology. It's evolving every week, every Thursday. Technology changes. It used to be a little, 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 4 weeks and a month, and but now it's every week and almost every few days now. Technology changes, and so to keep up, you learn to solve problems with the technology that you have. Optimizing your computer and learning the full functionality of your phone and the capacity and the ability. And what can you do? What can you really do with your phone? What can you really do with your computer? I mean, we know what the base user may, use their computer for and their phone for. But what else? Do you know the full functionality of the phone? The full functionality. I was amazed when I saw that this guy from China, he had made an entire movie with his iPhone. An entire movie with his iPhone. An entire movie. From the soundtracks to the scenes to the to the close-ups, faraways, overhead shots, everything, landscapes, with a phone. See, do we understand the capacity of the challenge, and are we going to quickly? Because that's another real hidden way to deny a situation, is to couple that situation with other negative trash. But just remember that the next time a negative situation comes up, when I'm working in the studios, and I've been doing it so long now, it's almost just it's on auto response, if you will. Automatically know if something goes wrong. It's not the computer. Generally, most times it's the user. What have I overlooked? I remember one time I was doing something, and I saw a little red box prior to that, and I kept ignoring it. And then as I proceeded to do my task, I could not do it. And I automatically knew, okay, that little red box meant something, but I kept ignoring it. I'm busy. I don't have time to deal with that, whatever the case may be. And then finally, I had to reset. See. Negative situations are really great opportunities for you to grow. They're great opportunities for you to change your perspective. They're great opportunities for you to gain wisdom. They're great opportunities for you to see the other side. Empathy can help you grow real fast. When you can see things beyond your point of view, that puts you in the driver's seat. Empathy, being able to see what someone else may be saying about you, how you act and respond, your disposition. And some of it may not be able to be helped, but the point of the matter is the fact that you're willing to listen. The fact that you're willing to listen sets you up for the plausibilities and the possibilities of having new prints in your subconscious mind, which now qualifies you for a new auto response, a new Robo life ad. Just listening, entertaining the plausibilities of doing something different and doing something better. Don't forget to follow us on Spreaker, Voicecast, iBroadcast TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're on iTunes now. Go to podcasts, search SIBN Television and AND Radio. This is Coach. See you next time.
Radio on the Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network. You're listening to SIBN.